You're back. Well, we are back. I'm back.
You are back.
I'm back, yes. First show in the saddle of the brand new show, Southern Nevada Sports Network. I'm sorry,
News,
Southern Nevada Sports News.
Yep.
I told you it's a brand new show. Same cast of characters, though.
Yep. Jeff Belknap.
My name is Bill Miller, co-owner, co-host of the Southern Nevada Sports News.
Yeah.
And, of course, co-owner of the Vegas Lions football team.
Which is our flagship organization.
Flagship organization under Southern Nevada
Football LLC.
LLC.
Yeah.
God, it's
A lot of stuff going on.
a lot of stuff going on. Yeah. Well, anyway, and of course, we are still on VegasOnNetRadio.com on our new time slot, which is 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time every Monday now.
Monday to 4 to 5.
Our
yeah.
long time slot of Wednesdays at high noon. Is I'm not sure who has taken over that show. Bobcat, our engineer extraordinaire, by the way, in the house. How you doing, Bobcat?
Good to be back with you guys again, man.
Yeah. By any chance, do you know who took over our old time slot?
Hold on just a second, I'll tell you.
Okay.
Well,
While he's looking that up, we're very fortunate. We're going to have a great show today.
Absolutely.
Catch up on, as always, Southern Nevada news. And we have a special guest in studio who is in, a young man named Michael Larson. And his show is NBS Central, Nothing But Sports Central, a podcast that he is running. And first of all, I got to ask you this. How old are you, young man?
I'm 18 years
18.
old.
No,
Yes,
nice.
sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
I remember when I was 18.
Yeah.
40 years ago.
Oh,
I remember
yeah.
when I was 18. And I wasn't looking for, excessive laughter, Jeff, but I'll.
No, I was laughing because what I was doing at 18.
Oh, yeah. Hey, listen, I too can, giggle over that.
There is no one in that current slot, but I do believe they have a interested client. So,
Well, the ever-expanding Vegas All-Net radio repertoire of shows continues to grow.
of course.
Yeah, and we, of course, were fortunate that the ownership allowed us to make this switch.
Yeah.
And, for us, this is, since 2013 where we've actually had the show, we've always concentrated on Southern Nevada sports and local sports in general. But, the main focus, of course, and always will be Vegas Lions football.
That's right.
But now it's really dedicated to Southern Nevada sports in general, hence the name of the show now, Southern Nevada Sports News. But Michael, thank you very much for joining us, young man.
Thank you for having
We
me.
appreciate it. Nothing But Sports Central.
Yes,
I
sir.
love the title, by the way.
Yeah.
Would you be interested in selling it?
Not yet.
No, it's not for sale yet, of course. But we've definitely been doing it for a few years. I just a
few years?
Yeah, for a few years.
Okay, and you're 18.
Yeah, I'm 18. I actually just started into it. I didn't create it.
Okay.
The other co-hosts, Jasper Francis, Xavier Trahan, and Yvonne Maddock. Those three, they kind of started it. Jasper, his nickname's actually Mr. Franchise because he started off our franchise. So
Awesome, man. Good
so
for him.
yeah, we got that going, and I joined around this year.
All right.
So, yeah.
Now, first of all, when can folks hear the show?
Oh, Tuesday nights. We go Tuesday nights, and we also have another show called Rush the Field that goes on Wednesdays. But the Nothing But Sports show, which is our main show, that plays at 5:30 Pacific p.m., 8:30 East Coast time.
Okay.
We have an app. You just look up NBS Central on the App Store, Google Play, and you download the app, and we have all our shows on there. Rush the Field, which is mainly a college football show, and then of course the NBS show, and that's mostly how we get our listeners. We also have a phone line, Blog Talk Radio. We have a link that we always post on our Twitter and Facebook, and that's how most of our people are listening to our show.
Well, it sounds like you're certainly dialed in on the social media.
Oh yes, I mean that's the way to succeed now is through social media, podcasts, Facebook, Twitter, even Instagram sometimes.
Well, old dogs like me are slowly evolving.
From
thanks
real to real.
Jeff, who brought me into the 21st century.
right.
Yeah, we've been doing a lot of expansion ourselves. Just like what you guys are doing. Do you guys actually give picks and stuff like that? Or
Oh
is it
yeah,
just-
yeah. We
Nice.
definitely do that. We college picks, NFL picks, all that kind of stuff. We do our predictions before the seasons. We do all that kind of stuff. Everything.
So who's the guru of the group
The guru.
as far as giving the picks?
Wait.
I just want to see what kind of percentage he's got.
Well, We're pretty split in the NFL picks. Jasper, he's number one right now, but he was terrible in college football. Yvonne, he was I think he was first place in the college football picks. But we're all pretty close except for Jasper. He's just far back in the college picks.
Oh, he's dropping?
Yeah, he dropped all the way at the end. He always tried to pick up the upsets and always failed.
Well, the way to pick him up is actually now. This is actually my favorite time of year to be doing the college picks.
Oh yeah.
A lot of it because of the mismatched conferences.
Right.
You have the Big Ten playing. Whoever they're playing.
Yeah, the American Athletic Conference.
Yeah, exactly. So those games sometimes are mismatched, so it's a little bit easier to
Yeah.
pick. The same way with the college basketball. In the beginning of the year, they have a lot of those tournaments. They bring the teams in.
Yep.
There's a lot of blowouts in those tournaments. Then when you get to the end of the year, they do the same thing when they do the conference
Right,
tournament. So
right.
March is my favorite time
Oh yeah.
to be picking games. Dr. Donatello is in the house. How you doing, sir? But so it is my favorite time of the year. The end of the years,
Right.
are great. So, but yeah, we've had some pretty solid picks going. So I'm gonna have to start listening to you guys
Oh, without a doubt.
and
Without a doubt.
see if we can get what we can get. Dr. Bob, how you doing, sir?
I'm good.
Good. How's everything?
Cold out there, but it's good.
Oh,
Yeah.
and those that don't know, we're in Vegas, but it was very chilly today.
Yes.
Yes.
Little overcast and
Chilly for us.
40 degrees.
Well,
this morning,
yesterday I
42
noticed when I was watching the Steeler-Bengal game,
Yeah.
the announced temperature was 64 degrees.
degrees. Yeah.
And I realized that if it's warmer in Cincinnati than it is in Las Vegas,
There's
something
There's something going on.
something
yeah.
going on here. Yeah, there may be something to that. So, Mike, at this time of year, you guys are going to be, getting your picks in. Jeff, by the way, since he was kind of mentioning it, did fail to mention that he is our resident prognosticator.
Yep.
And he handles all of our picks here, and certainly has his predictions. How did you do, by the way, over the weekend, Jeff?
5-2 again.
My goodness gracious.
Keep up my
Yeah.
63%.
That's it. just show up at the window, with your hand out.
Well, this time the two losses I had were both blowouts, but it was funny because I gave Jacksonville and everyone thought I was crazy, and I thought it was going to be a lot closer. They were laying 1 to the Colts, and 51-16 they completely blew them out. I just kind of felt like the Colts are a little off, and that they've there's certain teams that are kind of wrapping it up at this point. Like Atlanta, is pretty much wrapping it up. So
Clearly,
man, they just got shellacked.
I tell you.
And what hurt me in my fantasy actually this week was Cam Newton got pulled in that game, which he's my fantasy quarterback. There's really nothing you can do at that point.
Lucky you.
Yeah, so they pulled him, and I ended up losing my fantasy by 3 points, and unfortunately first round of the playoffs. So I probably could have pulled it out if they would have stayed in, but the other mistake that I made was I picked up Rodgers, which was the Hail Mary guy, of course, last week. And I actually
Coming
forgot to
from a Lions fan.
Yeah,
folks,
I
so-
actually forgot to put him in.
Oh wow.
So I actually I
Wow.
picked him up on waivers, and I was like, I'm going to pick this guy up. So Kelsey from your Chiefs, that's my normal guy that I have in
Yeah.
that slot. Just laid an egg this week, 1 point, and then of course Rodgers scores a touchdown, so that's the difference also. So if
Yeah.
either one of those things would have happened, I would be in the championship game next week. But hey, better luck next year.
Well, that's right, because this is fantasy football ends pretty quick.
Yeah.
It's I remember the 2 years that I played, and it was always a lot of fun.
Yeah.
But do you guys get involved in fantasy sports over at your show?
Oh yes, with that is a lot of trash talking with there. We made our own fantasy league. I was actually first place in the playoffs, going into the playoffs, and then a whole team just pretty much laid an egg. Everyone, no one did prove to their expectations. It was bad, and I lost by like 15 points, and it still remains to be seen because he has
Monday night?
he has Beckham playing, so I'll probably get beat by 25 points or something. And I was the number one guy. I was really upset with that, but I'm doing pretty good in my other fantasy leagues. So, but that was the money one. So
Well, I was the number 2 spot,
you're the number 2.
and the
seed.
number 1 seed also got bounced.
Yeah, same in our league.
Yeah.
No, both the number 1 and the number 2.
So they
were both,
basically take the top 4. So
Yeah.
in both of our leagues, same thing happened. A 3 and 4 seeder playing for the championship.
Yep.
Man, it's crazy.
Ridiculous.
Now, as far as the show is concerned, what's the next step for it?
Well, we're working on getting some YouTube things going on, but
Okay. Yeah.
getting a YouTube channel. And we do have that going, but we're trying to maybe get like something that you guys have, having the green screen in the background, that kind of stuff, so that it's not just someone on their couch talking. You know what I mean? Because that's basically what
in
it
their
is.
mother's basement.
Exactly.
I think we all been there at
Yeah,
some point or
absolutely.
another.
So we're trying to move that along, getting more listeners, of course,
Right.
as well as getting advertisers, advertising, that kind of stuff.
Well, Vegas All Net Radio has spots available.
Oh, well, that would be awesome to get a partnership going on. That would be really cool.
Yeah, these folks certainly are, looking for existing shows that you already have a format. Would be absolutely awesome, and I'm sure we'll certainly introduce you to the hierarchy here. And
That would be awesome.
But you're 18. You say you guys have really been doing it for like 3 years now.
Yeah, I think it's been 3 years.
Clearly, you're a sports fan. How did you get into it, though?
Into the actual radio talking.
Right.
Well, at first, of course, as a kid, I wanted to play sports, play basketball, football. But in elementary school, I'd be riding with my dad listening to Colin Cowherd on the radio, ESPN radio, and that is my guy. I love listening to Colin Cowherd, and that's how I really wanted to become a sports broadcaster. I wanted to.
Bill, what
Get
was
my own
yours,
show.
by the way?
But
Who
getting
was the
into-
guy that
Yeah,
you
yeah.
listened to?
Vin Scully.
Vince
Scully. Yeah.
Voice
I'm
of
an
the
LA boy at heart, and of course, Chick Hearn.
Did I ever tell you that my buddy bought a Mercedes at the auction, and I couldn't get the seat to go back, so I was like, "Hey, there's something under the seat." So we finally dug it out, and it was actually the manual. And when we opened it up, it was Vin Scully, his registration, insurance, and everything was in there. Yeah, so my buddy bought
That is
Vin Scully's
amazing.
Mercedes. Yeah.
LA, we were very fortunate to have some of the best announcers ever. I mean, you've got, of course, the late Chick Hearn.
Yeah.
And then, of course, Vince Scully, who's been handling the Dodgers longer than I've been alive. And, of course, we always forget Bob Miller,
Yep.
who's the voice of the LA Kings and has been the Kings announcer since I was a sophomore in high school. He took over the Kings in, I think, in 1973. And he is still the voice of the LA Kings.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, my radio guy, of course, was Ernie Harwell,
Yeah.
old school
Oh, yeah.
Tigers, and then George Calnell, K-Line, of course, did the TV. And then I grew up actually listening to Howard Stern, crazy enough. I mean, I love that guy, just somebody that would give his opinion without, really caring a whole lot about what anyone else has to say. And since we're on the internet, we can do that too. But
Yes,
choose
we
not to.
can. Yeah. But we always try to keep it within the confines and
Let's keep it
context of good
It's
taste.
a family show.
Yes. Just in case.
What about you, Dr. Bob? Who's your guy?
I grew up with Mel Allen with the Yankees and
Okay.
Phil Rosito. Holy cow!
Holy cow himself.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's
Those
great.
are great guys to listen to.
Yeah. Because you're from Brooklyn?
Queens.
Queens.
Excuse me.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't get that
Yeah.
right. Get cut in here.
I'll make a note of that. Yeah. Bobcat.
I was baseball. I was always a big Harry Carey fan. I liked Harry Carey, and growing up in central part of Ohio, we had a gentleman. His name was Dick Shore, and Dick Shore was the radio voice of the football and basketball Ohio University Bobcats for, my God, years and years and years. And he was the first guy that I ever met that actually stuck a headset on my head, and just from that point on, I was sucked in. But
Well-
his name was Dick Shore, and he was from Ohio and a great broadcaster.
Well, the St. Louis broadcast was the only one when I'd go back to Fort Smith, Arkansas. My grandparents, not uncles. That was the only radio broadcast they got was from the St. Louis Cardinals. So when I was a kid, I remember my grandfather would be, almost every evening on the back porch, and he would be, had listening to the Cardinal game, and I just, and of course baseball. Then the majority of what we saw, or rather what we heard, was on the radio. I mean, Dodger road games on Sundays were the only ones that were televised. They never televised any home games. So you lived by the radio.
Yeah.
You lived and died by the radio.
Well, unlike Las Vegas, growing up in cities like that, the sports were behind you. Like there was always a game on TV. There was always a baseball or football game on. UNLV, they don't play any of that stuff. I mean, I was actually shocked this year that the Reno and UNLV game wasn't even on TV. I mean, that should be illegal.
Absolutely amazing.
Yeah. I mean, they're absolutely by all means that
In
game
any
should be
two
on every
markets
year.
it should have been on. It should have been in Reno and it should have been in Las Vegas.
I got one more I'd like to throw out there, too. Mr. Eli Gold, who was the popular voice of NASCAR for many years, and he's also the play-by-play man on the radio version for Alabama Crimson Tide football. So if you've never listened to Eli Gold, what a great voice he
Roll
has.
Tide.
Well, if he was on the Tide, that'd be the reason why I haven't listened to it.
Just ask
not
for a
a,
good
not a
voice.
Tide fan. But
Well, Michael, again, when can folks listen to your show?
Tomorrow night at 5:30 p.m. Pacific. That's when we go live.
And that's nbscentral.com.
Well, we do have a website actually, but we don't really mess with that. But going on Facebook, looking up MBS Central, Facebook, Twitter, we always post our link on there to listen to our show. And then, of course, you can download our app on the Google Play and Apple Store.
All right. Well, we're certainly going to be listening in. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. All right, we're going to take our first break, and when we come back, we'll be joined by one of the team physicians of the Vegas Lions, Dr. Bob himself, Dr. Bob Donatelli. You're listening to Southern Nevada Sports News. My name is Bill Miller. Welcome back.
Tonight, also, and Roger Goodell. I apologize. I had 6 concussions in the NFL, so. I told Roger I was going to tell that corny joke, and he approved it, so.
Interesting. We are back. Bill Miller, welcome back to round 2 of Southern Nevada Sports News. And that clip, Jeff, what do you think?
it's a very touchy subject right now. Yeah. And I think with the movie Concussion that's going to be coming out, on the 25th, right? The December 25th?
I think it's Christmas Day.
Yeah, I think that's going to open the eyes of a lot of people. And, Dr. Bob's got some experience with that. And, and his training and rehabilitation and all that other stuff that he's doing.
Yeah, and we are fortunate to have with us a regular here on the show, Dr. Robert Donatelli. Dr. Bob, thanks for coming
Or Bobby
in.
D.
Thank you.
Or
yeah.
Bobby D.
That's right. Yeah.
That's Marquise Grissom, another contributor to the show. Mentioned, you'll forever be Bobby D.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
Good to see you, sir.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me on, guys.
Yeah, and needless to say, this has been an incredibly hot topic, and now, of course, with the movie coming out, and I think even the doctor that this is based on recently, made a statement. I think a little bit ahead of what the studio, as far as their launch of this movie, kind of wanted to say, but he basically said he felt that children should not play football, at least tackle football, till a certain age, until they're a little bit more physically developed. And of course, you're either you believe that it is or you don't, and it doesn't seem to be any gray area anymore as far as this is concerned. And this is obviously a subject that we wanted to talk about. And as I mentioned to you, last week when I emailed you about we really wanted to talk about youth sports in general, and what happens, of course, when there is trauma, but also the rehabilitation, but also to get your opinion on it as well.
Yeah, I think. We could talk about head concussions until we're blue in the face, but
Right.
I think the children that I see, I think there's, I don't know, there's a trend I heard going to one sport now. In some schools, you're not allowed to play 2 sports. But that's not because they want to give them a rest. That's because the sport lasts the entire year, especially
Right.
here in Vegas.
Right.
Yeah.
So there's no time. I tell every kid that I see, every professional athlete that I've treated has a time off. Maybe tennis, not quite. When I was working with Andy Roddick, it was like 4 weeks. You'd have 4 weeks, Bob. Can you help him in 4 weeks? But he could have taken off longer. He could have taken off more. The tour ended in mid-November.
Right.
But he gets requests to do exhibitions, that he gets, $250,000 to do. So it's hard to refuse some of those invitations.
Yeah, that
Yeah, that would be
it
difficult.
could pique your
Yeah.
interest.
Could I dress up like him, maybe?
Yeah, you could, yeah. You'd add a little
I couldn't
height.
play very well. But
But you're right.
But
When I was
he's-
in high school,
yeah.
nobody played the same sport
Yeah.
all year.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, if you played football, then if you weren't going to play basketball, you certainly weren't continuing to play football or practice football.
Yeah.
You either rested or you took up something else.
Just to show you the changes that have occurred, I work with Bill Norris. He was the first. He actually developed the medical side of the ATP Tour. He's an athletic trainer, and when he started the ATP Tour, he was also the Knicks trainer. So he was on the Knicks, and he was working with ATP Tour. That gives you how much range, I mean, time off they had,
Right.
to be able to do that. Or I'm sorry, no, he was the Knicks and the Mets trainer. That's not right. Then he went just for the ATP
Just for
Tour.
the ATP,
But he was the
yeah.
Knicks and the Mets trainer at the same time. That's amazing that they could do that.
Yeah. Well,
So,
yeah. I mean,
yeah.
I kind of think that there was an incentive in there somewhere.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. what I mean is the amount of time that the players were playing. I mean, there was obviously at that time no overlap, that much overlap.
Right.
But now there is, and you know, I see, you know, overuse injuries. I think is epidemic in the entire world, and that just means doing too much. So you have what they call degradation and synthesis. So every time you go out there and play, you destroy collagen fibers that are part of your tendons and ligaments. Your muscle deteriorates because it rips apart. It has to recover, and you have to by synthesis, meaning add more protein and recover. But when the degradation, the destruction is higher than the synthesis,
Right.
then you have problems. And these are all these itises. I have tendonitis. Well, now they say, well, it's not tendonitis, it's tendinosis. So what does that mean? Well, that means underneath, it's called the iceberg theory. You know, they have this big iceberg on top of the ocean, but what's on the bottom? This huge, ugly thing that sunk
It's
the
even bigger,
Titanic.
right.
So, right? So you have this pain on the surface, but what's happening underneath all of that pain it's an autoimmune reaction. The body is kind of eating up the tissue on its own because the inflammation stays there too long. And so then they wind up with a tendinosis, a precursor to a rupture. I'm treating right now Katarina Panur. She is a three-time Olympic athlete. She's got 3 golds, a silver, and a bronze. And she has a chronic Achilles tendonitis that she went to Austria to have surgery. I don't know what they did, but it didn't help. And she was so desperate, she called her friend in Cirque du Soleil that we know and said, "Do you have anybody that can help me?" So then she knocked on our door. So we have her now. And if she does not return to the Olympics this year, the Romanian team, probably for the first time in a long time, will not qualify. They didn't qualify yet. There's 4 more spots left to qualify for Rio.
So this is the possibility of a Romanian women's gymnastics team.
Well, for in this Olympics coming up, yeah.
for 2016 in
Yeah,
Rio.
yeah.
Wow.
Yep.
That's amazing.
So
Get to work, Dr.
Yeah,
Bob.
well, she's a lot better already, and we got a week and a half left. I don't know, 2 weeks, no, 2.5 weeks left, and I'm convinced that we'll get her done. You know, we'll get her ready to go.
Right.
She's excited, and you know what I just found out is that you can actually make the Olympics if your team doesn't make the Olympics. So she could qualify as an individual.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that. I
Yeah.
thought you had to actually.
Because another guy I
represent
worked
the
on,
team.
Marian Dragulescu, he's a renowned gymnast. He's going to his 5th Olympics, and he's in his early 30s. And the Romanian men's team didn't qualify, but he did. So he's going to do several different apparatuses to shoot for gold because he's developed a vault that's no one does in the entire world. This guy.
Well, gymnastics is one of those sports where it looks as if what you're doing to the body just simply was not meant to be.
Right.
Just in terms of the stretching, just in terms
Yeah.
of the impact.
Yeah, the impact.
That the human body was
And
just not
the
meant to,
discipline. And again,
to
going back to
withstand.
the injuries, you know, it's just like a sport that never ends. You know what I mean? In the you know, the communist era, like I went to China and worked with the Chinese teams as well. Those kids don't have a choice. They're taken to a place in Beijing, which is amazing. I mean, there's a wall that's 20 feet high with barbed wire on the top, and you get in two entrances that are guarded by communist guards. And so those kids go to school there, they eat there, they sleep there, and they train all day long. I don't know how they go to sleep.
I thought you were going to say that's how they learn the pole vault.
Yeah. They don't even have the track team there. Maybe that's why, you know.
They give them that pole and forget about that.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
So they're either in the Olympics
Yeah.
or they're training for the Olympics.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
But
Exactly.
there's no
No.
yeah.
They rarely ever go home. If they do go home, it's because they're injured and they can't fix them. They go home. Then the life's over.
Well, with regard, particularly since we were talking about this female gymnast, I read that they're the only group of athletes that are actually getting smaller. Women gymnasts, as opposed to where you see most men getting bigger, most women getting bigger in other sports. Gymnastics, for some reason, there seems to be this retardation of growth because the idea is to have smaller and smaller individuals for tumbling, for leaping, for jumping, for dancing, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, well, remember, you have to throw your body around to do all that stuff. And the amount of height, I mean, you can't just be small. You got to be powerful.
Right.
And power-packed. I mean, when they punch a jump and jump, it looks like they're going, 15 feet in the air, doing three twists, and land. Those are things that, like can't think of the lady now for the United States. She's going to win every single gold medal except for the beam, which is what my Olympic gymnast is going to win.
She's
There
going
you
to.
Katarina's going to win beam, okay, gold. But this lady is amazing. It's the U.S. lady. I forgot her name. I apologize, but she is slated to like take everything away in the Olympics.
And I know we've talked about this before, and that young people, especially in high school, they aren't taking any time off.
No.
Which is shockingly why you're seeing so many Tommy John surgeries for high school
Don't
pitchers.
get me started on that.
Well,
It's just,
just speaking about that, I spoke with a trainer from the AFL,
Yeah.
the Arena Football League.
Yeah.
And he was basically telling me that most of the injuries that occurred that led to surgery were avoidable.
Yeah.
The surgeries are avoidable, but because of the restrictions on signing players, unlike the NFL where you can just sign a player if a guy goes on IR, you sign a new player, or pick up a guy from the practice squad. A lot of these arena teams don't have it. They limit the transactions, which forces the teams to have to play these guys, which is now forcing them into injury. So Bill and I work with the NIF, and that's one of the things that we've opened up. As being the commissioner and vice president of that league, we've opened up that league to signing players and picking them up off the practice squad without limitations. Now, the danger is that they're going to get a bunch of guys and, a lot more better
Injuries.
athletes.
Oh,
but
yeah.
we're going to be able to reduce the injury because when
Yeah.
a guy's actually hurt, then we're going to be able to take him off the
good.
field
It's great.
and
It's great.
and hopefully prolong their playing careers.
Yeah. That's great. We already talked about that. The program we try to start this year in terms of evaluating preseason those guys with head trauma.
Right.
And again, I've said this to many people. There's no the treatment for head concussions is rest.
Yeah.
But there is another system that gets all screwed up, which is the vestibular system, that inner ear. We talked about that. And that is the balance center. So if you don't have balance going into a season, that's why 80% of the ACLs, we talked about this, are non-contact. 80% ACL
Right.
tears non-contact. Why? Because they're not, their balance is off, maybe too much head trauma. They're not training correctly. I don't know. It's not all about just strength training.
This time.
Well, we're at the bottom of the hour, and Dr. Bob, we hope you can continue to join us.
Sure. Love
Into when we go into round 3. You're listening to Southern Nevada Sports News on VegasAllNetRadio.com. Welcome to the Pride. All right, we are back for round 3 of Southern Nevada Sports News. My name is Bill Miller, co-host, along with,
Jeff Belknap.
and also we have
Dr. Bob Donatelli.
All right, as well as
Michael Larson.
okay, the gang's all here. By the way, call-in line 702-483-4444. You'd like to talk about sports in general or have any questions for Dr. Bob, 702-483-4444. And Dr. Bob, we were just talking about, the advent of Tommy John surgery. And we're seeing it more the freshman year of college. And you know that all of this was taking place in high school.
Yep.
Now, I remember talking to high school baseball coaches and saying, look, I can assure you I'm going to be able to monitor this young man's innings in high school play, week in and week out. You go, but I guarantee you this, if he's not pitching tomorrow here, he's going to be pitching somewhere, either with his coach, maybe a traveling team, or just working out on his own because, Dad and his trainer want him to throw innings.
Yep.
You know, and that's ultimately, and that's it, and that's where we're at, unfortunately.
Yep.
But it's just become now, it's almost routine. You know, Tommy John surgery used to be a big thing.
Yeah.
You know, now it's almost like, you know, oh, well, how many has he had? Just one? Oh, okay. Well, that's not bad.
I've had several young kids approach one of the physicians, surgical sports medicine doctors in the city. Parents went to them and said, listen, my son is 14. He's a pitcher. Could you just do the Tommy John surgery now and get it over with? Because I heard the ligament is stronger after the surgery. So just take his normal ligament out. It's not bothering him, but take it out so, you know, we don't have any problems in the future. He told him, you're crazy.
Good.
Go find somebody else to do that.
That's frightening.
Yeah.
That really is. And another trend that I notice is that parents are actually holding their kids back a year. So that they
In high school?
so that they ramp up, you know, in effect their senior year they're literally freshman college players.
Right.
Because they're more competitive and they may have be attracted to more university and colleges as far as scholarships concerned. And this is not just, you know, isolated incidents. It's now where, you know, they just feel that, you know, the parents are sitting down saying, no, we just feel he's going to be much more competitive if we hold him back a year.
Yeah.
Now, nothing from nothing. When I was a kid, there was always that, you know, that one kid, you know, that you heard, hey.
It was 6'4".
I heard that. This was usually in like around elementary school, you know, or middle school. You heard that, hey, I heard he's going to repeat, you know. And it was not a sign of, well, I'm sure his parents are looking forward to him being energized and, you know, just the big man on campus when senior. No, this was because he had problems in class. This is a choice that parents are making to hold them back, you know, a year.
Well, scholarships, you know, the way college expenses are going, the scholarship is like winning the lottery, you know? It's, it's a definite goal of a lot of parents.
There's one particular player I know, Tyler Bay, from Las Vegas High School, basketball player. He's like 6'6", 6'7", and he was supposed to be in my class. He was supposed to graduate when I did, but he's reclassified now to graduate this year after taking another season. The basketball season is going on now, and right after he reclassified to the class of 2016, he got like 8 more scholarship offers from other colleges. I mean, that's the benefit from it now, and it's much different now.
So is that considered a fifth-year senior?
I was going to say, I didn't realize
Thought they
you
did
could
that in college.
redshirt in high school. I redshirted.
That's great.
Yeah. Well, you know, I mean, clearly it's a decision that everybody has to be on board with. But, you know, socially, you know, I don't know how necessarily that works.
Yeah.
Just it could be a little awkward. You know, I mean, you've been going to school with, you know, the same guys, everything. You're always thinking about graduating together, and then suddenly it's like, yeah, well, good luck, you guys. And, you know.
Las Vegas High School, that's the one on the far east side of town.
All the way far out. The Wildcats. Yeah, we played them a few times. They've always had some really good athletes. Raekwon Smith, Ray Smith. I don't know. He plays for Arizona now. He actually had an ACL tear last year. His senior year, which was my senior year as well, and he didn't reclassify though. But he had already committed to Arizona, and they've had some really good athletes over there, but they were always difficult to play in basketball because of their athletes. But
You know, speaking of basketball, Jerry Tarkanian Classic this week at Bishop Gorman. Be some good hoops out there.
Yeah, you're not
Finley's
kidding.
got a couple game, and then the whole thing wraps up with Finley playing Gorman next Saturday.
Wow, that's a marquee game.
That's already coming.
that's always
Yeah.
you
Gotta
can't
love
play
that
that at
game.
South Point, right?
So I did put in for our media
Credentials.
credentials. Yeah, so
My
we'll
man.
see what happens.
Way to go. That's
You know,
what
I'm
talking
always
about.
looking out for us.
Yeah, absolutely.
But hey, you know, going back to the concussions, I was watching Tampa Bay's running back Doug Martin this weekend, and the way he runs is like literally dangerous. I don't really see a lot of guys run like him. You know, the thing that kept the longevity of Barry Sanders was he got tackled and you know, at one time led the NFL and everything in tackles for a loss, which Adrian Peterson this year leads. But he never really got tackled hard. You know, you didn't ever seen the guy get hit and blasted or whatever. He kind of just went down. And, I just wish there was a way for someone to teach a guy like Doug Martin how to be tackled like that. Because this guy, he's trying to get that extra yard, and he's coming in head first and going every time. And he doesn't realize, what he's putting his body through.
Yeah, I mean, besides head trauma, the other side of that is cervical spine fractures, and that's quadriplegic. I mean, that's life
Yeah.
and death right there.
Yeah.
And that's immediate. And putting his head down like that and ramming like it obviously traumatizes his cervical spine just as much as his skull. His
Right.
brain. The brain, he kind of puts off the damage a little bit. Maybe for until he's 45, but. Cervical spine can be easily traumatized and severely injured in those kind of tackles.
Well, we've seen some questions about the NFL protocol over the past few weeks because there have been some incidents where some players have clearly been concussed. Well, they're certainly reacting as if they're not sure, they have trouble standing, yet for whatever reason, they seem to fall into some sort of gray area, and the next thing you know, they're back on the field. Suddenly you have the coach saying, well, gee, I didn't know, I was doing something else. And supposedly the eye in the sky, the neutral party, the blue hat, I think that they're now referred to, saying that, well, they weren't aware of it either, yet everybody who's watching this, and I think it was one of the St. Louis Rams.
Case Keenum.
Yeah.
Case Keenum, he got hammered and was right back in.
And they were
And
literally
he was
trying to-
obviously
he was
messed up.
obviously out.
Obviously.
Yeah.
And
I
yet,
mean, his eyes literally rolled in his head, like when he got hit.
and and it was frightening to see, and so I know that now that they're they may overreact and say well, listen, let's he kind of got up a little too slow, so let's pull him out. And I think that there is that backlash. Personally, I think if a young man appears to be concussed, get him off the field.
Yeah.
We're not talking. Football, it might be a here and now, and I heard one coach refer to the NFL as not for long. And you're dealing with A-type personalities, individuals who, on a bet, would not tell you that they're hurt.
Right.
They're just simply not. They're
Well,
designed.
they're kind of inbred in that,
It is,
because when
from snout to tail, since they were kids, you're
Yep.
told to suck it up.
Big Ben.
I was just going to say that. I played Pop Warner football, and you get smacked around, and Dad was over on the side. Suck it up, man. Come on, you're in the game. Come on, get back out there,
This is football.
This is football. That's exactly.
Yeah.
You're going to get a busted mouth, and you're going to get a bloody nose,
Yeah, you got
and
a
whatever.
small
But get out
child
there.
over there crying because this is what small kids do.
yeah.
Ben Roethlisberger. He recently he got hurt again with the concussion. There were some concussion symptoms, and they were already winning the game. Well, actually, I don't know if it was the Seahawks games where they were losing, and there was no point in him playing again. But he verbally said he's not going to mess with concussions. He'll play through any injury, but concussions he doesn't want to mess with his brain at all.
Yeah.
And he's one of the toughest quarterbacks. He's probably the toughest quarterback out there.
Yeah, well, he's built for it as well. I mean, they don't call him Big Ben for nothing. But at the end of the day, it's your noggin.
Yeah.
And despite the evolution of NFL equipment, namely the helmets, you still see the impact of their heads suddenly hitting these turf fields, particularly, and and the reactions to grab their head, and I think that the more that this keeps going on and on and on, I tend to lean. If I had small kids now, both my boys played Pop Warner football, but knowing what I know now, I would probably not have them playing flag football until they were probably 12, 13, or 14 years old, after they developed and after they, their bodies developed, because I knew they were going to be big,
Right.
but that they had a chance to fit, grow into their bodies, and then at the same time know how to protect themselves.
Well, I think playing flag is a great alternative, but more than anything else, it's actually coaching the correct way to be hit, the correct way to tackle. We made an attempt to implement on our team, the Vegas Lions, the rugby style tackling.
Right.
Which is basically a more secure way of tackling anyway. I watched these guys a couple of games this weekend, and just how poor the tackling is. I mean, the arm tackles, the shoulder. I mean, running up and hitting a guy with the shoulder, thinking that's going to bring him down. This guy's 240 pounds solid muscle. Your shoulder's not bringing this guy down. You need to wrap him up and bring him down. So I think that, especially with the small kids, teach them young the correct way to tackle, focusing on the waist, twisting your body, like the rugby players do.
Right.
And speaking of that, before we get away from concussions, I actually had a conversation with a mother who was admonishing me because I was wanting to put my boy in football. And I said, well, what does your son play? And he goes, well, my son plays soccer. And I said, well, it's funny. There's actually a better opportunity for a concussion in soccer than there is in football because they're not wearing helmets. They're hitting this ball that's coming full speed, and getting the same type of impact regardless if they have a helmet on or not. So, she didn't believe me. And then, of course, it just came out where now they can't head the balls. Like under, I think, believe the age of 11, they cannot head the ball anymore. So, it's good to see that, people are putting in rules in place to make some changes. But, just bringing the consciousness to it, I guess, is the most important thing.
Yeah, for sure. That's like I said. The youth in this country. Well, they're sort of catching up to the communists
Yeah.
in a way. Because listening to Katerina, and her training, it was all screaming and hollering, and if you didn't do a routine right, you were fat. If you missed a twist or something and fell off the beam, you were fat. You know what I mean? So it was like this heavy duty,
Yeah.
mental and physical trauma that they went through. But that's how they thought that was the best way to make these athletes.
Sounds like my algebra 2 professor. You got to be because you're fat.
Exactly.
I thought it was because of spoons you got fat. but-
Exactly. Yeah. I thought it was kind of funny when she said that. You're fat.
First of all, I guess that type of training still exists, obviously.
Yeah.
Well,
still exists.
it doesn't. No, because one of the things that she was talking about in Romania, especially, is that, and we see this generally with kids, they're not getting not a lot of top kids. One of the coaches used to say it'd be really great to watch an Olympic meet and see all the girls on the beam be within fractions of a point of each other. Now it's like the last Olympics, Katerina wasn't participating in the World Games, and she was like just so upset because every girl fell off the beam, right? So something's happening where the kids are not wanting to push hard. So they're taking more control of that, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah.
But we're seeing in the United States, U.S. tennis, for example, is non-existent. I mean, there's not that hunger, to get in there and win. And maybe it has to do with being too lazy or having too much money. I don't know. But it's not the same hunger that the young kids have to excel in a sport. So they get to a point, they make a college, they got a scholarship. That's good enough
That's
for me.
it. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Mission accomplished.
I can tell you one of the challenges that I have having a 7-year-old is that he doesn't understand the whole meets. He's a track kid. He doesn't understand the heat part of it. So he'll blow away his heat, but he doesn't realize he needs to keep running because he needs to qualify for that last heat. So I'm trying to get that through to him, and I can't get it through. I don't understand how to do it. He's happy with just winning that
He's
race.
7 years old.
Yeah, and I don't know.
God bless him.
Yeah, he's a good runner, though. I'm looking forward to this track season.
All right, we're at the quarter hour. We're going to take our final break, then we'll be back for the knockout round of the Southern Nevada Sports News. My name is Bill Miller. Welcome to the Pride. All right, we are back. The knockout round, the final round, the express round, Southern Nevada Sports News. We'll go around the room real quick. My name is Bill Miller.
Jeff
along with-
Belknap.
Bob Donatelli.
Michael Larson.
All right, and I'd like to again open up the phones, 702-483-4444. If you'd like to talk with Michael Larson of NBS Central. Nothing but Sports Central, as well as Dr. Bob Donatelli, also known as Bobby D. Yeah, and we were just sort of finishing up with, with regard to concussions.
Yep.
And, and clearly, I know Dr. Bob, initiated a protocol for the Vegas Lions at the beginning of the season to get a questionnaire. And, of course, you did mention it very clearly. If somebody says that they've never had their bell rung, chances are they absolutely have. Mm-hmm. And you were hoping that folks would at least be reasonably honest. I think going into the spring season, I think we have a lot more time to gear this up and make sure. But I would like for these young men to clearly take advantage of this opportunity. The brain cells they save are their own, and unfortunately, they don't reproduce.
That's what I heard anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah. So last week we missed a Movember shave off, which was an interesting deal that Jake and I partook.
And Jeff, if you can explain to everybody Movember.
So Movember is when you don't shave, and Jake and I went a whole month without shaving. Jake was very patchy, and I want to say that mine was nice and full. I'll just throw that out there. But basically, we went to a couple barber shops, and they were nice enough to do the shave offs for us. We raised $500 for Movember,
Congratulations.
which was shocking to me, but it was impressive at the same time. So the first place we went to was Elliott and Company. That's where I got my shave off.
Okay.
Here we are at Elliott and Company Salon. About to get the beard shaved off from Movember. It's a pretty decent beard I got going on for a month.
What are you gonna do about those greys though?
The grays are gonna go, but they're not gonna. I never really have grays. They actually just came out for Movember. So, but Elliott's gonna hook me up. We're just gonna get this done.
Awesome. We'll see you on the other side, Belko.
Yes, you will. They hooked me up over there with the blade shave and the kind of tilt you back, do your whole thing and trim me up a little bit on in the hairline and that was cool. And then Jake went over to Indicut.
My Movember performance was about as good as the Lakers, and they lost to Philly the other night. So not a hell of a lot going on after a month, but it's all going now anyway. So thanks to everyone that donated, really appreciate it. And thanks to Mr. Mike who's about to spin around and tell us a little bit about Indicut. Thanks, Mr. Mike.
Yes, sir. How we doing? Mr. Mike here. Is that Indicut 3 perhaps? My information is, my email is 49ermrmike@gmail.com. 702-517-0168 is my phone number. It says set up any type of appointments or anything at free will. Give me a call. Come see me.
All right, here we go.
See you on the other side.
Indicut. And that was a lot of fun over there. Those guys have a lot of fun. I mean, I'm sure you've spent a little bit of time in barbershops, Bill, so you get
not as much as I used to.
Yeah.
At this racetrack running down the middle of my
yeah,
head.
well, you got a little less hair than I'm sure that you've had in the past. But that was also we appreciate the barbershops getting behind us. They have their own their own fundraising that goes on during those months, and then we had our own, and they partnered up. So Indicut, which is located on Fort Apache and Sunset, and Elliott and Company, which is Pebble and Eastern.
Just getting the finishing touches here, Belko. What'd you think, mate?
Is a problem. You're right on the chin.
It's a new man. Have a look at him.
I didn't even know
Look at that. Very fresh.
like this.
How they do it at Elliott and Company. Got to check this place out. Eastern, Serene, right on the Pebble on the corner by the Colonnade. This is the man right here. Hook me up.
Thank you for the opportunity. I love being involved with Movember to help build awareness for prostate cancer. But you're welcome to stop by. Elliott and Company, Southeastern, 8876, Southeastern, Suite 102.
102. Says it up there. All right, thanks, guys. Appreciate it. Thanks, Belko. Sweet, mate.
All done and dusted here. Movember's done for the month. Thanks to everyone for donating. Really appreciate it. Mr. Mike even managed to make my ugly head look good. So thanks for that, man.
Hey, no problem.
Appreciate it.
My pleasure.
Give us that phone number and address once more.
Hey, I'm located at 702-517-0168, Indicut 3.
And just to take us out, we've had Chris over here tell us how funny his joke's going to be. So over to you, Chris. You ready to go, mate?
Wanker! So a guy rushes home from work, his buddy calls him about halfway through the workday. He says, hurry up, get home because your wife's leaving. You got the U-Haul packed, everything's almost ready to go. You better hurry up and get there. So he rushes home, he says, why are you leaving me? She says, it's been brought to my attention that you are a pedophile. He said, really? A pedophile? That's a pretty big word for a 13-year-old.
That takes us out. Well done, Chris. Good job, mate. Good job, mate.
Well done, guys.
Yeah.
Yeah. $500.
Man, there's nothing to shake a stick at.
And explain to people what this is for, by the way.
It's for prostate awareness. That's a problem that that men have, especially the guys that don't get the routine check, which is not a pleasant thing. Obviously.
No, but it is important.
It's needed.
And I, as a 58-year-old, I do get it done every 2 years now.
Okay.
And it's not. There's nothing pleasant about it, but it can head off something potentially lethal.
Sure.
And I implore all men as you approach 40,
right,
to certainly, if you haven't had one, then you absolutely should get one done.
Absolutely. Yeah. So, you going to give us some picks today? Do you have any ready for this weekend for the NFL?
For the NFL, I haven't checked any of the games really, but I know I'm going to be rooting for my Raiders to beat the Chargers on Thursday Night Football. So
I think that's a lock.
That's definitely that should be a lock right there. Khalil Mack, he looked really good last Sunday. That's for sure.
Yeah.
If you want to spew out some picks, I can give my picks after you guys do yours.
Okay. Well, Bill, you got any for this weekend?
No.
Your Chiefs are playing Baltimore at Baltimore.
And if they don't manhandle Baltimore, I'd be shocked. But after yesterday's game against the Chargers,
They did not play well.
no, they didn't.
That was actually one of my losses.
And
by
I
the
was
way.
at the Kansas City Chiefs Charger game 2 weeks ago.
Yep.
Where they just waxed the Chargers
In San Diego.
In San Diego, I expected much more,
Yeah.
but a win's a win.
So I'm gonna go out on a limb on a couple of plays this week. Arizona plays next Monday night against Philly.
Yeah.
I think Philly is playing the best ball that they played this year, and I'm gonna pick the upset with Philadelphia on Monday night. They're actually getting 3.5 points, but I'm going to take that. And then the other game I really like is Jacksonville is playing surprisingly well. They're at home against Atlanta, which is pretty much just stunk up the field yesterday, and I
Yes,
don't even
they
know how
did.
else to advertise it other than they stunk up the field. But started the season 5-0, and I believe they're 6-7 now.
Yeah.
So
And yesterday they were just manhandled.
Yeah.
38-0 is, for that team.
And the game wasn't even that close. I mean,
Can't
it
even
was.
fire the head coach. It's his first year.
Yep.
Yeah, so
Yep,
he's not
absolutely.
going anywhere.
So those are my 2 plays this week. And, of course, if you guys follow our Twitter, which is SN Sports News, I give picks during the week. I usually pick some pretty solid NCAA basketball picks. So follow us, SN Sports News. That's also our Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook.
All right. Excellent. Well, anyway, tonight's game,
That'd be the Giants and the Dolphins.
Yeah, the Giants and Dolphins.
I think the Dolphins are going to beat the Giants. I think because that NFC East is it just nobody wants to win it,
And
it may come
the
down
Giants
to
have to win.
virtually come down to points at the end of the year as far as that division.
Well,
think the
a
Giants
6-win
are
team
hungrier.
could possibly do it.
I think the Giants are hungrier. They want that division title. I think they're going to take this win.
Well-
I think they have one more. They have one more tough game coming up, and I think they lose that one. Then it'll be between the Giants and Eagles going up.
Dr. Bob?
17.
You think your
I
Giants are
don't
going to
have
pull them
any
out?
pick. I don't know.
You don't like the Giants?
The Giants don't feel like they want. I don't think they want to win anybody. That's a division. I agree with Bill.
Well, what I won't do is take the Giants because the last 2 weeks I actually had the Giants and they were my losers. So
All right. Well, listen, folks, take Jeff's picks. Be up there. Go ahead and just ask for your money.
Wait at the window.
Wait at the window. That's it. Thank you very much for joining us again, Mike Larson, Nothing But Sports Central.
Love for coming on.
And, of course, Dr. Bob Donatelli. Thank you very much for joining us
Thanks
as
a lot.
always. Join us next Monday, 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time for another edition of the Southern Nevada Sports News. Welcome to the Pride.
God bless.